Hi, this is Mike, WB4HUC. I haven't posted anything in a while, but I was working on something this weekend that I thought I'd throw out there in case anybody's interested. I have an Icom IC-7300 that I've owned for several years, but I don't use it a lot. Um, it's a neat little radio, but I just don't put it on the air that often. So this weekend, I moved it over here and set it up, and it's connected into the amp tuner antenna system. It's connected to the computer and software and all the other things that I like to use when I'm using the 7300. So I thought I'd talk about that a little bit. So first and foremost is the Win4IcomSuite software that controls the radio. So as you know, if you have a 7300 or any of the modern Icom radios with the touch screen, you operate a lot of things through the touch screen, or you got to drill down into the menus sometimes. And some of the things you might want to access are buried pretty deep in the menu system. Well, with the software, most of the commonly used things are, whether they're accessed by the touch screen or by the menu, are right here, front and center in the control panel for the software. So it makes things for me a little bit more convenient. And then also, there are other software packages that I have that I want to talk to the radio. And without the control software, then you either have to use OmniRig or you can only talk to the radio with one piece of software at a time. So using the Win4IcomSuite lets you talk to the radio with more than one piece of software at a time. So using virtual serial ports, and I'm not going to go into all of that, you can allow Win4IcomSuite to communicate with up to 6 other pieces of software, and I'm using 3. So my logging program, when I log a contact, gets the frequency and mode of the radio from Win4IcomSuite. The pan adapter that I'm displaying here comes from a different receiver. It doesn't really come from the 7300. It comes from a software-defined receiver that is connected to the 7300. So the receive antenna connection on the 7300 is brought out to the back panel, and the antenna connector for the separate software-defined receiver is connected to that antenna connection on the back panel of the 7300. So that's where the separate little receiver gets his RF signal from. And then a piece of software called SDR Uno controls that separate receiver and provides the pan adapter. And that sounds a bit cumbersome, and I guess it is, but this is the way I did it when I had my Tentec Omni 7. I ran it from the N4PY Pegasus Plus software, and this is how I got the pan adapter for the Omni 7, was using this SDR Uno. So that's what I'm used to. That's what I like, so that's what I'm going to do this time. Win4IcomSuite does have his own pan adapter waterfall display he can show you, but I'm just used to this one, so this is the one I'm using. And then the lastly is WSJTX, which needs to key the radio for transmitting, and it needs to be able to change bands and frequencies. When you change bands and frequencies through the software, you go here and you pick a different band, or you go up here and you pick a different mode, and it needs to set the radio to the frequency and band for that mode. It can do so, all through communicating with Win4IcomSuite using the virtual serial port pairs that are assigned in each case. So that's it. That's enough about that. So you can see what we have here is we're on 12 meters. We're on the FT8 frequency. We see some signals in the pan adapter. So now I'm going to turn the monitor on in WSJTX. You can see the signal has come up, and the waterfall display is going, so we'll see what shows up. And if we see something we like, we'll see if we can make a contact. And I'll be running about 50 watts from the 7300, and the antenna is my ground plane vertical. And you can see that when I'm transmitting, again 44 watts, I'm going to boost that up to about 50, but you can see that the software-defined receiver does hear the 7300 transmitter, but it's at a low enough level that it's not hurting the SDR because of the way this thing is connected up internally. It's the receive signal really that's brought out to the software-defined receiver, but there is some signal leakage, but not much. So let's just see if we can. Okay, and we did make contact with it right here. We're not real strong, but I think we're good enough. And what you'll see is this is the logging screen for WSJTX. And when I click, and you can see in the comment field, I've told it I'm using the 7300 and I'm on my 05 antennas, 40 through 10 meter ground plane, which is out in the backyard. WSJTX doesn't need to know that, but when I click OK, you're going to see this contact show up here, and then you're going to see it show up over here. And over here in the logging program screen, you can see I do record the radio and antenna that I use to make that contact, and I record the power. And all of that comes from here. This is a little custom program I wrote myself that when a contact is made in WSJTX and I click the OK button, this program will read that contact out of the WSJTX log file and send it over to this Logic software, and Logic will then import it in and add it to his log database. And it all happens, so whether or not I'm doing this, I still have to click OK, right, to get it recorded in WSJTX. So once I click the OK button, everything else is automatic in real time. So it's not like I'm going to go over and make 15 or 20 contacts in FT8 and then have to import all 15 or 20 into Logic at the same time. I can do them basically in real time as the contacts are made. So I'm going to click OK, and you're going to see it show up here, then you're going to see it show up down here. So there we are, it's just that fast. And you can see the 7300 and the antenna and the 50 watts. So that's how I get contacts from WSJTX into the logging program that I consider my real logging program, where I put everything. So there you go. And the band is a little bit open this afternoon. I was surprised. I'm not a big 12 meter operator, but I was surprised to see I worked quite a bit of DX on 12 meters, maybe nothing exactly exotic, but I have worked a lot of the DX on 12 meters. So I'm not going to keep this going too long, but we'll see what we can do with 50 watts. I think the watt meter was showing 47 before, and there's not a lot of difference between 47 and 50, but what the heck. There we we go. Close enough. Probably not a lot of difference between 49.89 and 50 watts. And apparently he may not be hearing me. So the other thing I do is I keep this window up so I can look people up as I hear them or as I'm trying to contact them. And he's in Alaska, which is what I thought, but I've been fooled before. I've worked KL7 stations and they're in the lower 48. But he genuinely doesn't seem to be hearing me, and I was hearing him what looked like fairly strong, but he may not be hearing me, or propagation may have changed, who knows. So I'm going to give it one more cycle and see if he answers, and if he doesn't, we'll move on, and then if I don't make any progress, we'll just, there we go. So I did get an answer. Okay, so that one is complete. Same thing, 50 watts, 7300, vertical antenna. Click OK. He's here, and now he's here. So there you go. 7300s. I like the radio. In fact, I really like it for operating the digital modes. And I've got two profiles in WSJTX. One for the 7300, one for the K4D. And of course right now we're on the 7300. So once you get all that set up, the trouble is in setting everything up, but once you get it all set up, it works pretty well until Microsoft decides to upgrade Windows and it changes your sound card settings or your COM port settings or names or whatever. So, but that's what we have to put up with. All right, I guess this is it for today. I just wanted to put this out here in case anybody's interested in seeing the 7300 being operated from software. And that's another consideration too. I don't have a really decent webcam, so instead of pointing a camera at the radio, I can run it from software and then just do screen captures and see everything we need to see. So there it is. All right. Again, as always, thank you for watching, and hopefully it won't be so long before I put out another video. I've got a couple ideas running around in my head. We'll see how they play out. All right. Thank you, and we'll talk to you next time.